Hey everybody, quick thought from the word this morning. John chapter 5, studying about the invalid at the pool of Bethesda, and Jesus comes to him, and this was a Sabbath day, and Jesus comes to the man and he sees the man who's, sick, invalid. This is a place where, there was many of them and they were all there. And as the waters stirred up in the pool, and, the people would go down to get healed in the waters, and this was like the healing waters, the holy water. And this is, where you would find, just the lame and the invalids and the broken people, and Jesus comes to this man and he sees him. And what's the first thing he says to him when he doesn't just come to him and just, heal him right away or whatever. He comes to the guy and he says, do you want to be healed? And what's the guy's response? He says, sir, I have no one to put me in the water when the waters are stirred up. There's no one. Every time I go there, someone goes down and they get in the way, and it's just, excuses and reasons why, this can't happen. And what does Jesus respond with? He doesn't just make conversation excuses back. He tells him, he says, pick up your bed, go and be healed. And the man was healed instantly. So then the Jews come to him and they're like, who is this man that healed you? And what's the guy's response? He's like, I don't know who this man was, and what did Jesus do? He stood there, he's like, it was me, I was the one that healed him, No, that's not Jesus, he, in his humility, the display of God, that he withdrew from the crowd because he's not out here to catch, all this credit and praise and do all this stuff. He's about his Father's business, going on and doing what he needs to do. And so the Jews come to him and they say, it's unlawful for you to take up your bed and walk. This is a Sabbath day, and they persecute Jesus. They healed the man. He healed the sick, the lame. If we truly care for people, and people are like, all this stuff out here that we care for you, we love for you, that instead of like them celebrating and worshiping the Lord and honoring him for healing the sick, and making the lame walk again, making the invalid valid again now, in the sight of Jesus, they want to persecute and put you under the law and all this stuff, and then what did Jesus respond to? He says, my Father is at work and I am working too, and Jesus went about his business. He didn't stir up a fight. He didn't cause trouble. And the Jews, just in their hatred in their heart, they weren't okay with this, and so they continued to persecute him, which ultimately led to his crucifixion, but it just displays God's humility, that we're not string puppets in this life. God isn't just if we're not, we have to be willing in our heart, and God will come in and work in our hearts. Love y'all.